Well, hello, everyone. This is Congressman Andy Ogles. Welcome to the 20th episode for Restoring the Republic. A lot to cover today, but I will be quick. Just literally got off the phone with President of the United States, Donald Trump, or President-elect. Talk a little bit about Matt Gaetz and some of the other nominees. Biden authorizing long-range missiles for Ukraine. Goodness gracious, is he trying to start World War III? And then, of course, we've got the 2A press conference where we were heckled, but we'll get to that in a moment. So let's talk about Ukraine. I mean, I think that's problematic. So I voted against any of the Ukraine funding, primarily because there wasn't a clearly articulated what is the end game, what's the ROI for the United States of America. You know, should Europe step up and handle this instead of the United States? I say yes, which is why I did not support the funding. Now, so in the 11th hour before the Biden administration leaves office, what is he doing? He's escalating the conflict. So now you have a situation where just saw a news report that Russia may have launched some long-term missiles into Ukraine. I haven't verified that yet, but again, you see how it's escalating. And Putin has lowered the threshold for using nuclear options. And so this is a problem. Obviously, you know, the president has those folks around him who are really running the country, but, you know, you have to question, is his cognitive decline playing a role in him making these bad decisions? Because at the end of the day, he is the commander in chief. And so, one, I would say pray for our country, pray for our world, because this has escalated. And I think what you've seen under President Trump, what he has said, he's not here to start wars, he's here to end wars, finding that path to peace. And look, we're all better off when the world is safe, when there is no conflict, commerce, the economy, etc. And you look at the conflicts in Haiti and South America, you look at Israel, look at Haiti, again, I said Haiti, but of course, Russia and Ukraine. And this is a problem for global commerce. This is a problem for middle-class families, because every time we send $100 million to Ukraine, you and I have to pay for that. And so that's a big deal, a thing to watch. But as soon as if we get through these next few weeks, President Trump will be sworn in on the 20th, and we will get this nation back on track. So let's play the clip from this press conference. And to just give you a quick background, the country of Mexico is suing Smith & Wesson. So you have a foreign nation suing a gun manufacturer here in the United States with a frivolous lawsuit. Play it.
First Amendment. I think what we have to recognize is that without a Second Amendment, there wouldn't be a First Amendment.
That's right.
Her right to stand here and to say what she says is because of the Second Amendment, because of my colleagues who have worn the uniform and protected this country. That someone can stand here.
That's good. So we were in front of the Supreme Court, public sidewalk. This lady, you know, clearly seemed a little bit out of her mind, but that's neither here nor there. But she heckled us as we were defending your right to bear arms. And I said in my speech, and it was I changed my speech on the fly because she was heckling us, but, you know, there wouldn't be a First Amendment without the Second Amendment. Your right to freedom of speech, your freedom of religion, the freedom and liberties that we have in this country are because of the Second Amendment. And never, ever forget that. And so it's important that we recognize that you have a foreign nation, the nation of Mexico, who has been derelict in policing its own streets and communities, is instead of accepting that responsibility and that failure, is suing Smith & Wesson and trying to usurp the United States Constitution. I have a problem with that. And what I would say to President Trump, in which I literally just was on the phone with the president, we did not talk about this, but I would say if any country who is intentionally trying to undermine our sovereignty or our Constitution, and look, I'm not a huge fan of tariffs, but if they're coming after us, coming after you, and coming after our Constitution, then we should make them pay, and we'll make them pay economically. And so, Mexico, you keep this crap up, I'm going to talk to the president, and I think you're going to see tariffs coming your way. So enough is enough. You're suing U.S. manufacturers. You're usurping my right to bear arms, your right to bear arms, and we are not going to stand for it. So I did just call the president. You know, it's middle of the day. Again, it was kind of like when I called him after the election. I was expecting to get voicemail, but he picked up. So, you know, again, he's taken about 90% of my calls. But that being said, he is a busy man. He is the president-elect. But one of the things we talked about is what do we do for funding? So the funding for the government ends on December 20th. So just before Christmas, we could potentially shut down the government if we needed to for that 2-week period before January 3rd. And then obviously pass something once we have, of course, the House, which we have currently and will have in this new Congress, but also the Senate. And then on the 20th, you have the president. So that being said, and in talking to the president and thinking strategically, because that first 100 days is going to be so busy, going to be so jam-packed with a to-do list of things that have to be undone because of the failures of the Biden administration, is to do some sort of funding mechanism that will get us through, say, September, right? Now, keep in mind, in June, we have the debt ceiling that we're going to have to, that will hit. That's a whole nother conversation. But the thing and the caveat that's important to any funding bill as we go forward is you're literally watching in California. You have 2 seats, Duarte and Steele. That Duarte's up about 300, 350. Steele is down around 250. And California, you're watching them steal those 2 House seats. And so what the SAVE Act does is it prevents illegals. It makes states clean up their voter rolls. It prevents illegals from voting. And I can virtually guarantee you, when you have congressional races that are within 200 or 300 votes, as both of these are, that if you simply were to prevent illegals from voting in our elections, which is illegal, by the way, those races wouldn't be close. The Republicans would be well ahead. Those races would already be called. And so if you think integrity of our elections is important, when we do this funding mechanism going into this next year, we have to pass the SAVE Act, which requires states to clean up their voter rolls. And if they don't, it gives you a right of action to sue the state and force them to do so. And so with that, I look forward to let's talk about the nominations real quick. You've got some pretty outside-the-box nominations with Matt Gaetz and Pete Hegseth, and there's been lots of uproar about it. But what you have is you have change agents when you have departments that have gone rogue. And the president has doubled down on his nominees, and you've seen Tommy Tuberville in the Senate stand up and say, look, any other, so he's a U.S. senator, says that any U.S. senator that does not confirm Trump's nominees, he's going to ruin their career. Now, that's between he and his colleagues. But that being said, you're seeing this momentum building for Trump's nominees, including my good buddy, my good friend, Matt Gaetz, who is committed to being the next attorney general. And when you look at J6, when you see the lawfare against President Trump, he and I we literally talked about that a moment ago. It's time that we fix the Justice Department, that we have an attorney general that will address that and, quite frankly, undo some wrongs that have been committed over these last few years. So with that, God bless you. Know that I'm up here fighting for you with my colleagues. I'm talking to the president, literally got off the phone just a moment ago, getting counsel and making sure that we're lockstep so that this first year in the House of Representatives is incredibly successful. Because I would believe, and I'll say this and I'll close with this, is typically whoever has the White House in the House of Representatives in that midterm election, so 2 years from now, you pay the price, you lose seats. But I truly believe if we deliver on the promises made to the American people, if we fight for freedom, if we fight for liberty, if we fix this economy, if we secure the border, if we start deporting the thousands upon thousands of murderers and rapists that we know are here in this country and they're illegal, we start deporting those individuals, that in the midterms, we will pick up seats. And so I believe that in the House of Representatives, the Republicans, we have our destiny in our own hand. We control our own destiny, and it's time to partner with President Trump, to partner with our friends in the Senate, and to go fight, win. God bless you. God bless America, and happy Thanksgiving.